Today we're going to talk about how to start a Juniper router using container labs. So there are a lot of useful videos on YouTube channel that talks about container labs and how beneficial it is to use container labs to create routers such as Juniper or Arista using container EOS Arista versions or even Nokia SR Linux. So you can refer to that video. I will paste those links that explains how to set up a container setup and use container labs to deploy your virtual routers platforms for you to play with your testing and for learning purposes as well. Now in this video, we are going to talk about how do I create a Juniper router using container labs. Now the first thing to start off with is to download the image that we need. So on the page here on the screen, you can see that first you have to go to support.juniper.net, supports under downloads. There, I will just show you. So when you are on that page, if you search for VJU, you can see that if I'm just typing vjunos, you have vjunos router, vjunos switch, and vjunos evolved. So if you want to use any of these, you have to download the corresponding image. So when I select vjunos router and let's say I pick 24.4.2 image, you see there is an image that is based on a VM. Now containers don't work on VM based images. We have to convert them into Docker images. I will explain how that is done. But the key here is you download this image first and then load it onto your container lab machine. Wherever you have installed your container lab and Docker, you just upload that particular image there. Now that is the first step. So you download the required image. So in my example, I'm going to download the vjunos router and I'm going to upload it into my container lab machine. So after I do that on the container lab machine, the key here is because these vjunos router are VM based images, I have to convert them into kind of Docker compatible images. That is possible through use of this vrnetlabs. So you first have to git clone the vrnetlabs into your local machine where you are running the container lab setup and Docker images. That is the first step. As soon as you do that, you can cd into that particular folder and you will see a lot of options which I will demonstrate very quickly. And after that, you will identify inside the cd vrnetlab, you have either vjunos switch or vjunos router folder. Now, once you go into that folder, you can have your VM based image that you had already uploaded. You have to just move it into the corresponding folder inside vrnetlab, and then you have a simple command to convert this VM based image into a Docker based image using a simple command called make. I will explain that also. So let me quickly go to the screen to demonstrate that. So once I have done git clone, as I was referencing, I do cd vrnetlab. So that's what it is mentioned here as well. So you can see when I do list, it clearly says it has a folder called vjunos router, vjunos switch. Now also you can see it has got vsrx, a couple of other things, even Cisco related folders. So if you have images that are VM based, you can navigate into that folder and convert those images into a Docker compatible image. So let me show you how that is done. So I have moved into vjunos router folder under vrnetlabs, and when I do list, you can see there is something called as make file. It is something that is already available. Now the key requisite is after you've downloaded your vjunos router image from the website, you have to ensure that you move that image into the folder vjunos router, which is what I've done here. I've already kept it there, and all you have to do after that is you just run this command called make. So you can see that you are inside vjunos router. You have ensured that you've uploaded that image into that path, and you just run make. Now this will convert this VM based image into a Docker compatible image. So when I run make, you can see all the sequence of event that happens. After this command is execution is completed, all you need to do is you can run docker images command. So you can see it is clearly saying that it is created a compatible under vrnetlabs Juniper Junos Router, which is now Docker compatible. Now let me quickly go into my folder where I have all my container lab related YAML files. So if I now check this particular YAML file j1.yaml, this is going to create a Juniper router using this Docker image location. So you can see I've just given some name. The network name is container lab management, and I'm saying that my Juniper routers will be allocated an IP address from this management network. The reason I'm saying that is the machine on which I have container lab installed is a part of this subnet. So in my example, the container lab is actually created in a Azure portal. So I have an Azure portal. All I've done is I've created a VM, a virtual machine, with the following specs. It's got like a D3, standard D3 with 8 vCPUs and 32 gig memory. The reason I have a higher memory is usually for Juniper routers, it's best to have higher memories allocated so that you can get a significant better performance when you are even testing it. Now quickly going back to the setup. So you can obviously refer to the YouTube video I was talking about earlier at the start of this video, which talks about how to install container labs on an Ubuntu machine. This particular machine is an Ubuntu machine which I am running, which is on the cloud. As you can see, Ubuntu. And I have just made sure that after my container lab is installed with Docker as well, I'm just following the steps to create a compatible vjunos router image. So once again, to reiterate, you have to just make sure that you git clone this particular vrnet into your Ubuntu machine, then navigate inside, go into whichever model you want. In my case, I'm using vjunos router. There you have your image that you downloaded, and then you run the make command. Now Docker compatible images are created, which you can verify using Docker image command. Of course, you can see there are a few other images. You can ignore that. I have CEOS, I have Nokia SR Linux, but the one that is really important for this particular video is the vjunos router compatible image. Now in my YAML file, I am referencing that location where the image is. So that is the key part. The syntax of the YAML file is here. So the kind is Juniper vjunos router. It's because it's not a vSwitch I'm running. And under this, I'm locating the image location. So you see the location is vrnet. So just to show you Docker images once more. So this is the path, and that's what I'm referencing here. vrnetlab Juniper vjunos router. And the key here is you have to give a colon followed by the version or the tag that is displayed. Now, how do I start my container lab? Pretty much similar example. You can refer to the container lab video. It will explain that command is quite simple. You just call container lab deploy -t and your YAML file. As soon as you do that, you can very clearly see that it is created my spine with a management address from the YAML file reference, because the YAML file clearly says the management IP should be from this subnet, which is what this particular Juniper vjunos router will also have. Now, one key point to remember with vjunos router when you're starting it to container lab, normally is it takes at least around 6 to 10 minutes to boot up. Now, how do you know whether the vjunos router that you're trying to spin using a container lab is actually booted up? You can use this command called docker logs -f, and you can reference the name of your node. Now, in this example, that is exactly what I've done, and you can see that I can clearly see a kind of a console boot up kind of messages. You can very clearly see all these boot up logs. So you have to wait till the point where you really see something like VM start. I'll show you. So these are all the logs that has been just scrolling. I've just waited for the boot up time. So approximately what I noticed is 10 minutes it takes for the system to come up. And these are all just the logs I'm scanning through. Here is the key part. In the docker logs-f, the host name of the device, you have to see this particular message, info VM started. This is the point where the deployed VM is fully ready and up for you to log in. Now to log in, all Junos routers have a default username called admin and a password is admin at 123. So this is usually the default username password you have to remember. Now another way, I will go to that scenario of logging in, but let me quickly tell you how to even stop your lab. So if you want to stop your lab, you have to do container lab destroy -t, the same YAML file, and it will quickly destroy that particular VM. Now I'm just going to take a different YAML file to demonstrate how I'm connecting two Juniper routers back to back. So the YAML file that we will see here is called j2.yaml file. Let me go to the location where I have kept my YAML file. So here, same logic, the YAML file that I was talking earlier is the same logic. You can see the management network, the image reference point, but I'm saying I want two nodes. I'm calling the nodes as spine1, spine2, and under links, I've referenced that spine2 should connect to spine1 with two ports. So spine2 Ethernet 1 is actually Gigi 000 in terms of a Juniper router that will connect to spine1. Likewise, from spine2, the next port, which is GE0001, that's what ETH2 maps to, will connect to spine1. Now let's see how do I start it. Same story. Container lab deploy -t. You call the YAML file. And you can see that it is just starting to create those two devices. And after you wait for 10 minutes, as I was mentioning, you can run docker logs command to check if your VM has started properly. And then you can directly SSH to the device. So in this case, you can see my connection to my virtual machine on the Azure portal is down. So I'm just reconnecting to it. And you can display your container labs through this command, container lab inspect all. It's just showing me that all my devices are up and running right now. So how do I connect? SSH admin at spine1, login with admin at 123. So now SSH again, just to log in, SSH admin at spine1. Password is admin at 123. Once you log in, you can do show interface. You can see your interfaces are displayed. ETH1 maps to Gigi 000. ETH2 maps to Gigi 001. And the other interfaces are down because we have not defined them. So I'm quickly just looking at the configuration mode and I'm starting to set an IP address. I check the show commands. So there are some predefined default configs, nothing to worry about, but your configs are here because I want to do a back-to-back IP communication. And I have set my IP address to 2221. After setting the IP address, I commit it and then I exit from the router. Now again, I try to log into the next device. SSH admin at 172.20.20.2. So you see I have logged in here. Gigi 000 and Gigi 001 are up because those are the two interfaces that we've defined here. So on spine 2 I wanted two interfaces. On spine 1 I wanted two interfaces. So ETH1 once again maps to Gigi 000. ETH2 maps to Gigi 001. Now on spine 2 I just configure the device IP address. So I've logged into spine 2. I'm configuring it to 222.2/30. Spine 1 was configured with 222.2.1/30. So I'm just scrolling to show you that spine 1 is got this address, spine 2 is got .2 here. Now after you commit it, you can even try to ping it and you can see from spine 2 I'm able to ping spine 1's address. So this way you can build your lab and you can create different topologies. So once again, a few useful commands with container lab. So you can do container lab inspect all will show you your, so I have a typo there, container lab inspect. So you can use this command to check your existing running devices. I've already discussed about how to terminate a container lab is you use container lab destroy. And if you want to deploy a container lab, the command is container lab deploy. We've seen that examples already in the earlier part of the video. Hope you find this useful. Bye for now.